Due to repeated copyright claims on my content, I've started a Patreon where you can watch the full uncensored version of videos like this one with all the music, all the visuals, all the details exactly as I intended, exactly as I've always done on this channel up until now. The link will be in the description. Over the last 12 months, something very strange has been happening in the music business. One by one, people connected to the exact same side of a movement suddenly found themselves under attack, and accusations were almost identical every time. It started when Drake, the biggest artist in the world, became the target of multiple lawsuits over his partnership with the gambling platform Stake. Lawsuits claiming the platform was used to manipulate streams with bots and artificially inflate his own success. Now keep in mind, Drake had just survived what a lot of people in the industry thought would be his downfall. His own lawsuit against his own record label had already accused them of some of the exact same things that he was now being accused of. He referred to himself as a corporate hit survivor on his recent track Dust. The writing had been on the wall for quite some time that Drake had realized his own power and was chasing something bigger with more control and leverage. Once we saw that he was suing his own record label, re-signing with UMG stopped making any real sense, and then on May 15th, he dropped 3 projects in one night, and if industry insiders are correct, that move wasn't really just about music. It made the biggest artist on the planet a free agent, and he now had more power outside the system than anyone in music. Depending on what he does, like if Drake makes a move outside of the 3 majors, it could definitely be a problem. Then came Akademiks, who is one of Drake's biggest independent media supporters and arguably one of the loudest voices in the entire genre, and he got pulled into the exact same storm. Suddenly, Akademiks was buried in legal troubles, depositions that stretched on for hours, with questioning that went way outside the scope of the actual case.
Are you blindly loyal to Drake? Did you ever leak exclusive information from someone on Drake's camp?
And just like Drake, it didn't take long before Akademiks was tied to the lawsuits involving Drake, while blatant AI-generated articles started popping up online attacking his team's credibility. Then in April of 2026, Akademiks put out a video breaking down Jay-Z's GQ interview, and he was definitely very critical about it, but within days he said Roc Nation hit him with around 10 copyright strikes across all of his platforms and affiliated channels.
Roc Nation currently are using illegal means, for example, filing DCMA claims. They're abusing it on YouTube, claiming that if you have an opinion about Jay-Z on any content that he's in, instead of acknowledging what it actually is, which is fair use, they're now filing claims if you're not riding his dick.
Because Akademiks isn't the only creator that this has happened to. Back in December of 2024, YouTuber Trent Out Loud said 2 separate sources told him that Roc Nation and Jay-Z keep an entire team scouring the internet, making sure content creators don't step out of line, and that they'll fire off cease and desist letters the second they do.
2 people told me that Roc Nation and Jay-Z have a whole team scouring the internet and making sure that content creators are not stepping out of line, and they will send cease and desist letters or legal letters with the quickness. So
multiple users on X have publicly claimed they received copyright takedown notices connected to Roc Nation and their law firm Reed Smith. Another YouTuber by the name of BJ Investigates seemingly had the exact same thing happen.
So I published the video to BJ Investigates, the channel you're watching here, and the video promptly gets removed from YouTube because somebody, supposedly purportedly purporting to be from the law firm called Reed Smith, issued a copyright takedown request on the video, or a demand. So the video actually got completely removed from YouTube. A copyright strike was on my channel. I had to appeal it. The appeal worked because obviously it was fair use.
But before I can go any further, I need to talk about today's sponsor, ZocDoc. One thing I've realized as I've gotten older is it's way too easy to put things off, not just things like working on projects or mowing the lawn, but your health too. I feel like most of us have had that thing we've been meaning to get checked out for weeks, maybe months, but we keep telling ourselves we'll deal with it later. One of the things that I've been terrible with in the past is renewing my meds when the prescription runs out. Then when I've tried to fulfill it last minute, it can take over a week to even get an appointment with my doctor just for them to write a new script. And there's been times when I've went days without my meds, which is really not good. That's where ZocDoc comes in. ZocDoc is a free website that helps you find and book appointments with doctors near you. You can search through more than 150,000 providers across 200 plus specialties, filter by insurance, read reviews from real patients, compare doctor profiles, and see actual appointment openings before you book. What I like most about this is you can do it all online. There's no waiting on hold, no back and forth phone calls. You can literally see available appointments and book one instantly. And in many cases, appointments are available within 24 to 72 hours, sometimes even that same day. And the reason I bring this up is I know how easy it is to put things off that are actually really important. I am definitely a habitual procrastinator when it comes to things like this, and ZocDoc really does make it easy. So if there's an appointment you've been putting off, or maybe you're even trying to find a new doctor or find a doctor at all, you don't have to wait anymore because you do have ZocDoc. I know it seems like a really small step, but simply clicking the link in the description is a huge step towards prioritizing your health. Taking care of your health just got easier. Head to ZocDoc.com/thedirt. That's ZocDoc.com/thedirt to get started and finally check that appointment off your to-do list. Thank you, ZocDoc, for sponsoring today's video and for helping us all take better care of our health. Then things got even stranger. Someone close to academics became the subject of a private investigation where information was being collected, photos were being taken, and spread through mainstream media.
Speaking of wire transfers, I hear there's a real investigation going on in Australia into you and your boy George, otherwise known as the Asian man.
Where you getting this information? Yo, George and Win, how you?
But this is where it gets really interesting because that's when Larry Jackson enters the picture. Larry wasn't just some random executive connected to Drake, he was a longtime partner who helped build some of Drake's biggest moments of his career, and Larry helped shape the entire streaming era. And while Drake was busy fighting for his reputation and his freedom, Larry was building something that threatened to change how the music business works at its core.
6% of new up-and-coming artists now want to sign to a major label.
Wow. 6%.
And I was like, oh, this is a shift.
Larry's company Gamma was built under one simple idea. Artists should have more ownership, more control, and more power over the system that profits off them. And look, if you've been paying attention to Drake, whether it be through his music or symbolism, visuals, he's been saying a lot of the same things. I won't get too far ahead, but let's just say that there have been a lot of rumors about Drake, Larry Jackson, and Gamma making some big moves behind the scenes. Drake has become one of Gamma's biggest supporters, and on May 15th, he doubled down, putting Gamma-affiliated artists all over his releases. He featured Low Shimmy, and he featured Sexy Red, and they're both Gamma artists. And then when it comes to Molly Santana, she's not over there yet. This is a prediction. I got a feeling she's going to end up over there. But within just 2 days of the streamer Kitschka revealing the release date for Drake's album Iceman, Larry and Gamma got hit too. This time it came through two anonymous websites, LarryJacksonExposed.com and GammaExposed.com, accusing Larry of fraud, faking streams, and artificial growth driven by bot networks, the exact same accusations. And pay attention to how they did it, because that seems to be their weapon of choice. These were not articles in an authentic publication. These were anonymous AI-generated hit pieces branding him as Larry Scamson and Gamma Scamma, and they didn't spread by accident. Hundreds of fake X accounts, a literal bot network, pushed the links all out at once, and now Larry is suing to find out who did it. So just sit with that for a minute. The same people who are being accused of using bots to fake streams are literally getting attacked by actual bot networks pushing AI written smears through fake websites and fake accounts. Basically, the entire campaign runs on the exact same thing that they're accusing everyone else of doing. Now, before I even go deeper, let me just show you the timeline, because it is pretty tight. April 17th, Drake's lawyers filed their final brief in his appeal against UMG, pushing his defamation case forward. 4 days later, April 21st, streamer Kitschka pulls the book out of Drake's ice sculpture and reveals the Iceman release date. When that release date got announced, the internet was Drake. That's just what it was. He was everywhere. Just 2 days later, April 23rd, Larry Jackson and Gamma get hit, accused of fraud, bots, and streaming manipulation. And then 1 day later, April 24th, an announcement drops about a brand new lawsuit against Drake and Stake, but it's not a reporter breaking the story. It is a press release written by the lawyers themselves, who paid a wire service called PR Newswire to make sure the whole world saw it. Remember that website because it definitely comes back. For whatever reason, this small boutique law firm out of Virginia wanted this new botting lawsuit against Drake blasted as far as possible right at the peak of his Iceman rollout. I mean, look at how tight that window is. We get a filing, a reveal, an attack, and a lawsuit all stacked back to back, all carrying the same accusations, circling one man and the people connected to him. It's time to start asking some questions. Was this really one big coincidence? Were these really isolated situations? Or was there a bigger force connecting them? And if there was, who's behind it and why? So let's step back and look at the whole board. We've got Drake, Aiden Ross, DJ Academics, and the people around them, Larry Jackson, Gamma. On the surface, these are completely different people, but they're all connected in the sense that they all collaborate and they all represent a similar thing. They're all either outside the system entirely or they're actively fighting against it or a threat to it. And none of them can really be controlled. Drake has never hidden how he feels about the industry, and now it looks like he's a free man. Academics built his own media world where nobody can call him up and threaten his position, and Larry literally built Gamma around handing power back to the artist. Control is shifting from that old system rapidly. It's melting away, and a lot of new artists or upcoming artists are starting to realize it. So you have to ask yourself, who spent decades building power inside that old system? Who's deeply embedded in the music business? Who's got massive interest in the gambling world? Who's been filing lawsuits against creators and leaning on copyright law? And who's been quietly at war with almost everyone we just named?
It was just like, all right, man, we played enough defense. 2026 is all offense.
First and foremost, let me be clear, this is a theory, but it didn't come out of nowhere. Academics recently revealed on a live stream that he had talked directly with Larry Jackson, who's now suing those anonymous AI websites to find out who's behind them. And Larry reached out to Academics for a pretty good reason, I would assume.
But it's really one of the most powerful people in the music business. And this person called me and this person said, I had to reach out to you to tell you you're not crazy. Dude, I'm going through the same thing, but I'm dealing with it legally. He said, I called you just to let you know, if you ever need legal help, if you ever need whatever, I'm here to back you up. But he said, didn't you see some stuff pop up about me? And it looks so beautiful and so good. Where did that come from? When you exposed that they came at you and they're using an AI article, they made a whole AI website about me.
Both men noticed a similar pattern and the same timeline, both getting smeared by anonymous AI sites with similar accusations, and if you follow Academics, you already know where his suspicions point.
So Roc Nation, Jay-Z, their reputation is dirt.
Both men seem to be pointing in a similar direction, Jay-Z and Roc Nation, which raises the real question, why would Jay-Z have any reason to go after Drake, Larry Jackson, or the people around them? And what would he have to gain?
What would he have to gain?
3, 2, 1.
To understand the motive, you have to look at what Jay-Z is trying to build right now, and more importantly, what he's failing to build. We could start with gambling because Jay-Z isn't a bystander in this field, he is an actual owner. In 2021, he and Roc Nation invested in Fanatics. and he took a board seat as a vice chairman of Fanatics Betting and Gaming.
Jay and I started this business together.
And in America, you can't just flip on a switch and open a gambling business. You need a license in every single state separately. That is the slow, painful grind Jay-Z and Fanatics have been going through for 4 years. And today, Fanatics sports betting is legal in 23 states. That is the sports betting side of it, but they ended up going after something else. Fanatics decided to dip their toe into online casinos, which is a completely different game with a completely different problem. Online casinos are only legal in 7 states, and Fanatics is only live in 4 of them, which is not what they want. Like, the real prize is the 46 other states. They want them all. And in September 2025, the biggest version of that prize got yanked off the table. Roc Nation was part of a $5.4 billion bid to build a casino right in Times Square with a Fanatics sportsbook inside Jay-Z's own 40/40 club. A city advisory board killed it. 4 votes to 2. Declined.
Bid to create a casino in the middle of Times Square appears to be dead in the water.
They needed 4 of the 6 votes in order to move forward, but they only got 2 of the votes on this board.
Overwhelmingly, we've heard overwhelmingly from residents from Manhattan Plaza to Midtown, even small businesses around emailing, calling us, over 1,000 emails and phone calls saying they did not want this to be the economic driver in our district.
Now let's look at the other side, which is Stake, one of the biggest online casinos in the world, and Stake doesn't apply for anything. Stake.com is an offshore crypto casino banned from operating in the United States, so the American side runs through Stake on a loophole. You buy gold coins, you get Stake cash, and you redeem Stake cash for real money. They call it a sweepstakes or a promotion, not gambling. And because it's a promotion, they skip state gambling laws entirely.
Yes! Oh my God! Yes!
And Drake is definitely a big part of Stake. He had a deal reported to be worth at least $100 million a year to gamble on stream, bet on sports, and drive players to the platform. And what I'm about to tell you next really matters, and it is not just a theory, it is literal facts. The licensed and regulated gambling industry has been openly trying to kill Stake's entire business model. The American Gaming Association has spent years arguing that sweepstake casinos are illegal, and they're pushing regulators to completely shut them down. They want to kill Stake, they want them gone. And they're not the only organization that feels that way. Fanatics Sports Betting, Jay-Z's company, is part of an organization called the Sports Betting Alliance, and the whole entire point of this organization is to 1. Legalize regulated online casinos in all 50 states, and 2. Destroy unregulated sweepstake companies like Stake. In fact, it's literally written directly on their website. Unregulated iGaming platforms like Stake evade U.S. gaming laws and safeguards that prevent minors from gaining access. It's literally in black and white, like Jay-Z's company, Fanatics Betting, is part of an organization, and that organization wants to destroy companies like Stake. I mean, the alliance that Fanatics is a part of even put out a full-on commercial called The Dangers of Unregulated Betting, and they literally feature Drake in the commercial.
These unauthorized betting sites aren't bound to any of the normal marketing rules that prevent gaming advertising to minors.
And what's interesting is how and when Drake ends up in the middle of it. Stake was getting sued all through 2025 by multiple states through multiple lawsuits, and Drake's name never came up once. And then something changed, and just watch the timeline. On October 9th, 2025, Drake's lawsuit against UMG got thrown out. 18 days later, he's suddenly named in a Stake lawsuit in Missouri. 2 days after that, New Mexico. A few weeks later, Virginia, then New Jersey. It was like a whole year of Stake lawsuits with not a single mention of Drake, but then all of a sudden, something happens where he ends up in lawsuit after lawsuit. However, the most important cases to focus on are the Virginia and New Jersey cases, and they were both filed by the exact same law firm. These 2 cases go beyond gambling entirely. They claim Drake used a hidden tipping feature on Stake to secretly send crypto to pay for bot farms, fake accounts, or machines used to stream his music and fake his popularity. Now just stop and think about that. These are gambling lawsuits. Someone is trying to get their gambling money back. Proving Drake's Spotify numbers are fake does nothing for that. It doesn't put a single dollar back in anyone's pocket. It has nothing to do with gambling, so why is it in there? Botting allegations or fake streams do not matter to a gambler, but they do matter to the music industry. Here's the question that actually matters. Forget who's behind these lawsuits for a second. Just ask yourself, how does a lawsuit like this even come to be? Well, a gambling lawsuit would start with someone who lost money, and in Virginia, that's 2 women, allegedly stake users, who found a lawyer. They go in, they say, I lost money on an illegal platform, and I want my money back. It's a very simple case. Like, I lost money, that casino is illegal, I want it back. That's it. So how do 2 random women who lost money on a casino app walk into a law office with detailed theories about Drake's crypto tipping with streaming farms and bot vendors, and then there's this guy named George moving money in the background? How did those women even get that information? How did they get that? Like, it just doesn't add up. And where it gets stranger is that these lawsuits also accuse Drake, Academics, and George of using stake to go after music competitors and executives. Yeah, you heard it right. It is a gambling lawsuit that is worried about music executives and music competitors getting their feelings hurt, being talked about negatively. That's what you have here. So just think about it. Who in the music industry could this possibly be about? Well, the lawsuit doesn't name any executives, so just fill in the blanks. Who have Academics and his team actually been critical of over the last couple years? Only 2 camps come up. TDE, the Kendrick side, Punch, Dave Free, Doechii, and Roc Nation, Jay-Z, and Desiree Perez. Those are the only 2. The only 2. Now, I want to be careful here, so let me tell you what I can prove and what I can't, because I can't tell you who filed these lawsuits. But what I can tell you is the names that keep coming up over and over again over the last 2 years. And it starts with Academics. It goes back to the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion trial. Academics was firm that he didn't believe Megan, he thought she was lying, and he sided with Tory from day one. A smaller blogger named Milagro Grams took a similar stance and got herself sued by Meg for it. Now, Academics ended up subpoenaed as a witness in the Milagro case. He sat down with Megan's lawyers and he recorded it. But there was something very, very strange about this deposition. Ack was there as a witness about Megan, Milagro, and Tory, but for some reason, Drake, who has nothing to do with that case, kept coming up.
And you said that you weren't so happy about not being paid to promote Drake, and you said it was probably due to your blind loyalty. Are you blindly loyal to Drake? Did you ever leak exclusive information from someone on Drake's camp? What type of information have you leaked that you received from Drake's camp?
They asked about Drake repeatedly, but guess what else they asked about?
What is stake? Do you have any joint accounts with anybody through which you receive any kind of compensation for your work? How did you get connected with the individuals at stake to be in a sponsor relationship? Conversations with Drake about, has he ever sent you any sort of cryptocurrency or digital assets for any reason?
And they also asked about George, aka Grand Wizard.
Of the individual who runs the Grand Wizard chat account?
Now, you could probably argue that this is just Megan's legal team and it has nothing to do with Roc Nation, and on paper, maybe. But the problem is the legal team accidentally shared their own screen and their own internal chat, and sitting right there for everyone to see was one name, Des. Desiree Perez is the CEO of Roc Nation.
And this is where I realized we got you. Y'all are liars. Tell Des.
So just think about it. Roc Nation's legal team deposed Academics for a defamation case about a blogger and spent hours asking them about stake, Drake, and George, the exact 3 names that would soon sit at the dead center of 2 gambling lawsuits that hadn't even been filed yet. They were even trying to link Drake to George in this deposition and asking questions about it.
The person who runs the Grand Wizard account has ever been associated with an account called OVO Grand $, because OVO is Drake's record label, right? Did he give you any indication whether or not there was truth to him communicating with the individual who runs the Grand Wizard chat account?
This deposition happened in August of 2025. The first lawsuit accusing Drake of sending crypto through Stake to George for bot payments wasn't filed until December. So months before anyone filed a lawsuit about this, Rock Nation lawyers were already in a room under oath, grilling or more or less investigating academics about Drake, crypto, Stake, and George. I mean, like, read between the lines, use your own discretion, but whatever you got to do. Actually, you know what? Like, I'm doing the edit right now. I'm putting this thing together, and like, I got to say, like, this whole thing makes me fucking sick. This is making me sick.
Did Drake ever tell you one way or another if he paid to help secure Grand Wizard's account?
And the Virginia lawsuit gets even stranger when you look at who's actually suing. At first, it was just two women, Tiffany Hines and Lashana Ridley, and because their names are now public in a very public case against a very public figure, I pulled their backgrounds. This is not their first time inside a courtroom. Lashana Ridley was convicted in 2015 on a cocaine felony, and like a lot of people who get caught in the system, it didn't end there. It turned into years stuck in the probation trap. Violation after violation, always at the mercy of the court. That cycle finally ended for her in 2021 when she got an early release. And you will see in a minute why all this matters. The other plaintiff, Tiffany Hines, had the exact same charge, a 2018 cocaine felony that sent her down the same probation rabbit hole, multiple violations, constantly back and forth with a judge. For this one, I couldn't confirm whether her probation had ever been fully lifted. But now it gets really interesting, because eventually 6 more people were added to this lawsuit, and most of them are directly connected to those first 2 women. First up, we have 63-year-old Regina Ridley. This is Lashana Ridley's blood relative. They shared the same address for years. This I've confirmed. But that's not even all, because another person directly tied to Lashana got added. A man named Freddie Ray with multiple felonies between 2007 and 2016, and records showed he lived at the exact same address as Lashana, and as of 2026, it looks like they still live together. I believe this is her partner, and now he's also added to the lawsuit. And Freddie got an early release from probation back in 2021 too, within 2 days of Lashana. But let's keep going through the other plaintiffs. Tiffany Hines, not to be outdone, brought in a blood relative of her own, 55-year-old Stephanie Hines, and as you could see, these two are clearly related. Then they added Takia Adams, same pattern of run-ins with the law, with a more recent identity theft conviction in 2024. As far as I could tell, she's still on probation. Then there was Ricola Lachey, again through the court system multiple times, 2 drug felony convictions, a probation history just like the others, with a violation in 2024. Keep in mind, these people are like extremely concerned over Drake's streaming numbers, right? It's imperative that they get to the bottom of this. They're losing sleep over it. And they don't want the executives being talked about negatively. So let's look at this for what it is. We've got 2 plaintiffs that share the last name Ridley. 2 more share the last name Hines. In an 8-person class, half the names are pairing off. 2 of them, Lashana Ridley and Freddie Ray, have shared the same Norfolk address for years. Not the same city, they live in the same house, and all 8 come out of the same metro area, running through these same criminal courts. It looks completely ridiculous. A class action lawsuit is supposed to be open to anyone who was hurt by the thing you're suing over. And the whole point of a platform like Stake is that anybody anywhere with a phone can lose money on it. A real class should have scattered total strangers, but instead you've got shared last names with blood relatives, shared households, all packed into this one tiny corner of one state. In my opinion, this is not a class of strangers who all stumbled upon the Stake app. These are people that know each other, that filed together. Which raises the obvious question, if these people were connected before the lawsuit, whether it was from the same families or being from the same neighborhoods or in the same court, then who brought them together and who decided this was the group that should sue Drake with an elaborate theory about botted streams and crypto tipping through Stake? This is where we look into the firm that filed the lawsuit. The firm handling the Virginia case is Impressa Legal Group, the same firm that filed the New Jersey lawsuit, which is basically a carbon copy. It has the same theory from the same firm. And when you look at the lawyers whose names are actually on the filing, it gets interesting fast. George Costell and Richard Kelsey of Impressa Legal Group. George Costell owns the firm, but the interesting part is his history. He's a former commercial litigation partner at a firm called Reed Smith, and I'll explain why this matters in a second. The other owner of the firm, Jason Matchek, was also a partner at Reed Smith, and Richard Kelsey, the other attorney on the case, worked at Reed Smith too. In fact, it's right here on his own Facebook. It's even on Impressa's own website under the About Us page. It proudly lists Reed Smith as one of the firms that their attorneys come from. And I know what you're thinking, right? Like, lawyers change firms all the time. Like, what's the big deal? And you would be right if Reed Smith were just any firm, but Reed Smith isn't just any firm. It has a very specific, very documented relationship with Rock Nation and the woman who runs it. Her name is Desiree Perez. She is the CEO of Rock Nation, one of the most powerful people in the entire music industry, and Reed Smith is her personal law firm. Right now, in 2026, Reed Smith lawyers are representing her personally in an active lawsuit. This is all confirmed in court records. But to understand why Desiree matters here, you need to look at who she actually is, because Desiree Perez has a documented history as Jay-Z's fixer, or the person who handles the problems. Back in 1994, she was arrested in a major federal drug case and charged in a conspiracy to distribute narcotics. She became a government informant, took a probation deal, and later served 9 months in prison in 1999 for violating it. Desiree Perez is not new to the system. She's basically navigated it her whole career. Then, decades later, in the final hours of his presidency, Donald Trump gave her a full pardon. And here's the part that's even more compelling, because in 2023, ESPN conducted an investigation into how NFL coach John Gurdon's private emails got leaked, which was a leak that ended his career and helped bring down an NFL owner. According to that reporting, the operation was run through Reed Smith with the help from Desiree Perez, using leaked private communications to take down a target. Basically, in a nutshell, this wasn't just an attorney dealing with her client. It sounds like Desiree Perez and Reed Smith were working together as conspirators to destroy someone's reputation. This is not a rumor. This was documented by ESPN. So just think about the playbook. Perez and Reed Smith have already been described in national reporting as a unit that used leaked private messages to destroy someone. And the same firm that is filing this lawsuit against Drake and Stake is in the bloodline of Reed Smith. Now look back at these lawsuits against Drake, because they say the exact same thing. It's about leaked DMs, leaked chat logs.
Do you know that his DMs were leaked? That what was leaked appeared to be DMs between the person who runs that account and Drake?
And it even goes deeper. Reed Smith doesn't just represent Desiree personally, it represents Rock Nation, the company. Remember in 2024 when Megan Thee Stallion was sued by a former cameraman named Emilio Garcia? In that case, Rock Nation's lawyers were Reed Smith, and Megan's lawyers were Quinn Emanuel, the same Quinn Emanuel you saw in the Academics deposition. Basically, the lawyers who were questioning Academics worked with Reed Smith in the past, which is Desiree's firm. So let's just line up what we have. The two lawyers who filed the Drake lawsuit came out of Reed Smith. Reed Smith is tied to Desiree Perez and Rock Nation. Reed Smith works alongside the same firm that deposed Academics. We even mentioned earlier in this video that Reed Smith was the firm who was filing these false copyright claims on behalf of Roc Nation.
According to be from the law firm called Reed Smith, issued a copyright takedown request on the video.
But what does that have to do with this Virginia lawsuit? Well, remember, almost everyone in this case has a criminal record and a history of probation problems, which brings us to Roc Nation's nonprofit, Reform Alliance. Reform Alliance is a criminal justice organization co-founded by Jay-Z, Fanatic CEO Michael Rubin. Remember, he's in the gambling business too, and then Desiree Perez is on its board. The company's entire mission is fighting the probation trap, which is the exact system that kept a lot of our plaintiffs stuck in a cycle of violations for years. Then there's the fact that some of the plaintiffs in this case seem to still be on probation. One of the first states that they went into was Virginia. In 2021, Reform Alliance pushed to change Virginia's probation laws, and they won. They got a law passed that allowed early release for people stuck on probation, and it took effect July 1st, 2021. Now remember Lashana Ridley and Freddie Ray, two of the plaintiffs suing Drake. In December 2021, 5 months after that new law kicked in, Lashana Ridley was released from probation early, and exactly 2 days later, so was Freddie Ray. So basically, the people suing Drake were freed from Virginia's probation system in the exact same year that Jay-Z and Desiree Perez's organization rewrote Virginia's probation laws. But this only gets tighter. On October 18, 2024, Reform Alliance and Roc Nation held a massive public job fair in Virginia. The job fair was built to help formerly incarcerated people find work and get help cleaning up their criminal records. And guess who Roc Nation brought in to handle the legal services at the event? Reed Smith. The exact same firm that represents Desiree Perez, the exact same firm that represents Roc Nation, the exact same firm Impressa's owners came from. They were physically in the room at Roc Nation's event in Virginia, sitting across from formerly incarcerated people who were on probation, and we know Reed Smith was there because Reform Alliance said it themselves. Their own website said Reed Smith would be on hand to help with expungement. Expungement is when they erase the records from your criminal history, wipe them entirely. And do you guys remember PR Newswire, the paid wire service website that Impressa used to blast out the Drake lawsuit right in the middle of his rollout? I looked into their full history on it. Out of every case Impressa Legal Group has ever handled, do you know how many times they've used that website for a press release? Twice. Only twice, and both times it was to announce a lawsuit against Drake. One for Virginia, one for New Jersey. Now guess who uses PR Newswire all the time? Guess who has a whole account for announcing their biggest initiatives? Roc Nation and Reform Alliance. Roc Nation pays PR Newswire constantly. Pretty much everything Jay-Z does gets pushed through it, including that exact Virginia job fair in October 2024. So basically, a tiny firm that had never touched PR Newswire suddenly used the exact same paid platform Roc Nation lives on to run a national smear on Drake, using lawyers who came out of the exact same law firm that Roc Nation uses, representing plaintiffs who benefited from Roc Nation's probation laws, many of them blood relatives, in a gambling lawsuit that's somehow really about the authenticity of Drake's streams and music executives getting talked about. Again, I'll leave this information with you. So let's just lay out all the connections we've actually established, and just remember, I can't tell you how all this came together, but I can show you that every single piece you need to build this lawsuit was already sitting there, publicly connected, already operating in Virginia. Reform Alliance has a database. They know exactly who they helped get off probation in Virginia and who's still trying to. Through their job fairs and their clinics, they know a lot about those people's lives. Reed Smith was at Roc Nation's Virginia event sitting across from those exact people. Reed Smith's former partners built Impressa Legal Group. the firm that filed the lawsuit. Reed Smith represents Desiree Perez personally and Rock Nation as a company. The Quinn Emanuel law firm has worked right alongside Reed Smith and was asking academics about Drake, Stake, George, and crypto months before any lawsuit even existed. Some of the plaintiffs got off probation in 2021, right after Reform Alliance changed Virginia's probation laws. Then we have some plaintiffs who seem to still be on probation, likely hoping it could end. Both Drake lawsuits were announced on PR Newswire, the only 2 times that firm has ever used it. Rock Nation uses it constantly. Then we have the fact that the lawsuits themselves are written to benefit the regulated gambling business and the music business. The people who win most if Drake and Stake go down are in gambling and in music. Jay-Z is in both, heavily. With that said, remember, Drake is not the only one, because around the exact same time, Larry Jackson got hit with almost the exact same playbook, and that's where this goes next. And once again, disclaimer, this is a theory, right? All I really did was take publicly available info, I connected it and presented it to you. With that said, I think most of us can admit at this point that there is something off about these lawsuits. It is very fishy.